I wanted to increase awareness of this, and I had already written an article that was getting out on the internet, but I wrote a book and studied the ketone research up to that point, relayed Steve's story, how to use coconut and MCT oil. But one of the things I did was I interviewed Steve and about what it was like to have Alzheimer's. And throughout the book, there are little sections where Steve talks, there are boxes where Steve talks about what happened with him and, what it was like. And, for example, he would say that in social situations, he had become like a wallflower. He would stand back and not really talk to anybody. And he said it was because he was afraid of what he would say. He didn't know what would come out of his mouth because it wasn't what he was thinking, wasn't always what would come out of his mouth. So, that was one thing he was able to tell me. And then the thing about not being able to read, he could not explain that before. But after he got better and could read again, he could explain what was happening, that the words were like shaking on the page. So there were a lot of things like that. And when I first started talking about it, basically I had written an article, a little case study that I sent out on the internet. I gave it to everybody, and I started leaving it in health food stores. So then health food stores started inviting me to come talk about it. And Steve came with me, and people would ask him, and he would tell them what it was like to have Alzheimer's disease. It was really amazing, and they were all amazed. And then it got picked up by our Tampa Bay Times local newspaper, regional paper, and then it went viral after that. They had a picture of us with his 3 clocks. His clock at 37 days was even more amazing than the one at 14 days. And it went viral, and I started hearing from people and getting invitations beyond local health food stores to talk. It's been a long struggle already, about 12 years for me. And I know for Jim Abrams, it's been 30-something years, I think, getting close to that. Yeah. So in the beginning, it was one person at a time. I tried to take it to the Alzheimer's Association immediately. I wrote to people like Sandra Day O'Connor, whose husband had it. She was part of an Alzheimer's study group. I wrote to politicians. I wrote to media. I wrote to everybody I could think of, sent them a copy of my case study about Steve. And the main point was, I know this is only one person who responded to coconut and MCT oil. There's a medical food out there. Other people have responded in their studies. This needs to be studied urgently. Please get your scientists on this and please study it urgently and get this information out to the public. It's just a food. What harm could it cause? And basically I was ignored. People started doing it, people that I told about it started doing it, and they started telling other people about it, and there became a lot of messengers, other grassroots messengers that would pass it on to other people, and they'd give them copies of my article, and I came up with some diet guidelines because people had this similar questions, that people could use to, to do this. And so in the beginning, it was one person at a time, and then got to talk, and it'd be small groups and then larger groups. And then I started getting invited to even medical conferences, integrative medicine type of conferences. And Weston A. Price invited me to come and talk at their conference. ACN, they have a conference every year. And they invited me to come and talk about it. And they really embraced coconut oil. And these are nutritionists, many nutritionists were still in the low-fat mode, but this particular group recognized the importance of fats and even coconut oil, and they embraced the idea. So, different groups started getting the message out, in their own way. And so it's been, really a journey. I think having books helps get it out there. And, now I get to actually talk all over the world. I've gone to Asia, multiple countries in Asia to talk about it. In Europe, I've been to Germany 5 times, France a few times, other countries in Europe and Australia, and all over the U.S. and Canada.